Hello guys, what's up? I hope you'll be fine and good. Today we have a new tutorial in SketchUp Arc Studio. So it's about the realistic rendering in Enscape. This is one of the real project about architectural job, I think in the Canadian jungles, and the designer is the Soroush Arc Studio. So before we start this tutorial, please like and subscribe our YouTube channel for more tutorials. So let's get to work. This realistic and amazing render only rendered by the SketchUp 2022 and Enscape 3.5. So I have the 3D model in the SketchUp, as you can see, with the high detail of the work, high detail of the objects, and high detail of the 3D modeling. And this is my funny car, I think Audi A7, or I don't know. If you know the name of this car, please comment it below this video, and let's get to work. So I have my scene in here, and I have the Enscape option in here. So I don't have anything about the lights and the HDRIs. So I want to create realistic render without any type of light or HDRI. So we have only sunlight, and we don't need any type of lights like the spotlight, line light, or other type of things like that. So actually I'm in this environment, as you can see. I can go a little bit higher, like that. You can see the environment like this with different type of objects and assets. It's really wonderful. I set it by the new option that called multi-asset selection in the Enscape. And this is my house. And the project name is the container house because it includes two type of containers like that in the L position, and create two floors on it. So I'm going to start with the save frame. I'm going to click on the save frame in here, and I press F on my keyboard. So the first scene I created with the number 1, when I click on it, I switch back to it. So I want to click on the edit scene in here in the view management, and I want to set some type of adjustments for it. For example, if I a little bit move or turn my camera, as you can see, these numbers have been changed, and I need that one. So the X position I want to set about 16.4, and the Y is our height, actually eye height. I can set it to the 1.6 for the standard resolution and high height. Another one is the Z option, that -33. I can change it to the -33.6. as you can see, and we have pitch option in here. If I change it to the 0, my camera take this shot straight, but I want some little bit sky on my renders, so I want to increase it to the 15 in here, and the eye is about 226. I can fix it on the 226 exactly, and I press enter. So now I'm going to click on the save option in here, and after that I can click on the visual setting. So before we start this render, like and subscribe our channel. So let's get to work. We have some mode option in here like the white option, but we don't need it in here, and it's not really useful in that case. So I'm going to change it to the none mode. Outline is 0 because we don't need it, but we have some projection that called perspective. I can change it to the 2-point perspective for more depths of the scene, and we have field of view. It's really important, but I don't want to talk about it right now, so let's get continued to the image bar in here. So we have highlights. If you look at the screen, if I increase the highlights, I can see some changes on my environment. It's not like the exposure, and it has some differences between each other, but I can change it to the 16 in here. And if I increase the shadows, look at this place, as you can see, when I increase the shadows I have dark sets in here, and when I decrease it I have lighter shadows in this place. So another job I want to do is related to the saturation. For the saturation option, if I change it and increase it, as you can see, all the colors burn out, and it's not realistic because we don't have colors like that in the real world. So I'm going to change it from 138 to the 96, or maybe it's a little bit without any type of motion. So 100 is good. We have shadows in here, so I'm going to turn the shadows to the -4 in here, or you can use auto contrast to let the Enscape detect your screen, detect your model, and change the highlight and shadows with the AI. So we have color temperature in here. When I decrease it, I have warm screen on it, but I don't need it really, because I think 7000 Kelvin is really good number for it. Another option we have is the motion blur in the effects, but it's not really useful in here because usually using the animation method. So I'm going to change it to the 8%. The lens flare. What is the lens flare? As you can see, I want to change the sun and the sun position like that. So now you see the sun in here. So when I come and increase the lens flare, as you can see, we have some God rays in here. And when I change it a little bit, maybe something like that, as you can see, you see these type of things called lens flare. And it's really useful in some realistic renders, but because we have some view about the facade of the house, it's not really useful in that case. So I just want to say what is the lens flare, because maybe some of you maybe don't know about it. Please comment your opinion about the lens flare and method of using it in the different projects. So I open the visual setting in here and I come to the output option. I turn my resolution from the HD to the custom. So I have Quad HD in here, but you can change your resolution. For example, I need some type of cinematic view, so I can change it to this number, or I can fix it by increasing it, something like that. But 1440 is good for our job. So we come to the image bar again, actually. So lens flare, I'm gonna reduce it to the 66, and the bloom option. The bloom makes your renders a little bit blur, and it's something like the as you can see, you imagine your lens camera and you imagine you have some blurriness on the lens. It's work like that. So I decrease it because I want sharp renders. So if you want sharp renders, always decrease your bloom option in the Enscape. I think 4 is good in here. The vignette is the effect about the blackness behind this photo. As you can see, left side, right side, upside and downside. When I increase the vignette in here, I can see this option in here, but it's not realistic at all. So I'm going to change it to the 18 in here, and the chromatic abbreviation. So as you can see, it simulates some type of different RGB colors beside the edges of your job. So I'm going to decrease it a little bit, something about 8% is good. Or if you want sharp edges, you can turn it to the 0. So let's get to the atmosphere window in here. I'm going to click on the atmosphere. We have fog in here. We don't need any fog, so I'm going to turn it to the 0 intensity. The sun brightness is good and acceptable, but we have shadow sharpness in here. For setting illumination in Enscape jobs, you must fix your sunlight at the first. So I'm going to minimize my screen in here and change my sunlight. For example, I want some sun near to the morning because I'm really crazy about these type of sunlights. For example, some type of sunlight, maybe like this, is not bad. And I can adjust the sun position in the sky very simple and easy. Something like this. And adjust it a little bit like that. Alright, it's good. Or you can turn it a little bit much brighter, about 7 a.m. and you can control the sun in this place. I think this one is not bad at all. Something like that is good. So I fix my sun position in here. The clock is about 6:40 a.m. and the sun from the I think east side of my project. So I'm gonna click on the visual setting and we have illumination in here. So the sun brightness is about 80%. I want to change it to the 78 and I press enter. We don't have any night render, so night sky brightness not important at all. So I'm going to change it to the 4E, and we have shadow sharpness in here. Look at these shadows on this grass. When I increase it, actually I have some type of shadow like that, and when I decrease it, I have different type of shadows. So in the real world, we don't have any type of sharp shadows in the real world. So usually we see soft shadows in the environment. So I'm going to turn the shadow sharpness to the series 4. So I came back to the main bar. Actually, we have rendering quality in here, but it's on the draft. So in the Enscape, if you change it to the ultra, some type of lightings and materializings will be changed, and don't worry about it. So I'm going to control it for the final time. So I'm going to change the rendering quality from draft to the ultra. As you can see, it's a little bit heavy for your system if you use low config systems, but it's not bad at all. So the sky is good in here. I came back to the atmosphere option here. I turned the shadow sharpness to the SRE, and artificial light brightness not important because we don't have any spotlight, rectangle light or other type of artificial lights in here, but you can change it to the 86, and we have ambient brightness. For the ambient brightness helps you to create warm light sources in your screen. For example, if I increase it to the 86, as you can see, we have a little bit of warmness in the screen. So I'm going to change it to the 64. It's the best number for it. And the wind option. The intensity of the wind option depends on your animation and video editor, and it's not really effective on your renders. So I'm going to change it from 25 to the 6. If you want to create post-production renders in the Enscape or SketchUp in your architectural projects or university projects, you can increase the wind for creating some post-production of the trees or cars. So I'm going to go back to the sky option in here. We have white background. If you want to only render your 3D model and turn it back into the Photoshop, you can click on the white background to adjust your own sky. But I don't need it right now because Enscape is the another Photoshop. So I'm gonna change my source from clear to the white ground, or I can change my source from white ground to the clear. It's not different at all because we don't see the horizontal line in our render, and it's not really important. So the first option of the clouds called density. It's work like the intensity in other options and parameters. So when I increase the density, as you can see, we have cloudy weather, and when I increase this option, for example, to the 0, we have very sharp and clear sky. So I want 0 clouds, and variety is about 0, and we have only option that calls cirrus amount. I'm going to turn the cirrus amount to the 0, and I only have some clear sky with the blue beautiful thing in it. So the contrail is about 0 again, and I think everything is done right now. So we have output option. My format is the JPG, and for example, I can render it anywhere I want. So resolution is good. It's about Quad HD, QHD. And as you can see, all the things are done in here. Only we have some works in the main bar. So this is one of the important points about the Enscape. But before I tell it, please like and subscribe my channel. So let's continue this tutorial. One of the important points in the rendering with the Enscape related to the main bar, because it have some important elements like the exposure, field of view, depth of field, focal point, or the rendering quality. If you can handle and control these 4 items in here, you will reach to the realistic renders, and I guarantee this point. So the exposure is a little bit low, and I want to turn it to the 56, for example. And the last option that we call field of view. Field of view is really important in the arc and urban design. Actually, you can help with the field of view to learn or teach what's important in your 3D model. How? So when I decrease the field of view, I zoom on my point and I know what I want. So the main target of this render is this house. But when we far from our target, as you can see, maybe the target of this project is the environment. Who knows? So for this reason, I prefer to always decrease the field of view to some number like the 66. Alright, as you can see, you can turn some points for your helping. For example, the backside of this car or these flowers and rocks in here. You can zoom a little bit on it to reach the best achieve you want. Something like that, for example. And I want to add a 62, for example. So we do all of these jobs in here. So now I want to save this custom preset for the rendering. I click on this arrow in here and now I can, for example, save as file in the desktop and I can call it rendering setting and I press save. So our job has been saved in here with the custom. You can rename this file right here render vs1 and press check. So I want a little bit to see my sky more than the past. For this reason I can come and open the Enscape, press F on my keyboard. So I want to edit scene 1. But don't worry, because maybe some type of lights has been changing here like that, but it's not really important. So you can link your visual with the render vs1 and like that, render vs1, and you can look a little bit to the upside like this. It's much realistic than the past. And your number, for example, pitch is about 22.2 and yaw is about 225 and all other things is good. So you can start this item with your cat view name and this is your favorite at all. So I press save in here. So now I have my shot. I come back to the visual setting in this place, render vs1, and I think everything is good right now. Everything is good, only I want to change and turn my sunlight to the previous 4. For example, something like this is not bad really. So 6.4, something like that. Alright. And now I think everything is done in here. Only I want to zoom a little bit on my model like that, or I can zoom it out with the typing my number. If you type lower numbers than the 90, you will zoom on your target, and if you type some numbers more than 90 degree, you will have some wide renders. So the last option in this tutorial is about depth of field. So I'm going to adjust this visual setting in here. What is the depth of field? You want to only focus on your model and you want to blur the environment. It means that the environment is not important for others. So you increase the depth of field in here. Actually your lens or your camera will get a little bit blur. Autofocus is off. So we have some option that called focal point. So when I play with the focal point, I can see some shiny line on my screen, and this is the way that I can set my focus point. So I select, for example, this place for the rendering because I need these edges of the house. Another time, look at it carefully. For example, I want to play with this item in here. It's a little bit heavy and sometimes your system will get not respond, but it's not thing that you can worry about it. So you can see this shiny line in here. I want these edges in here. So I drag it and I press it. So we have some number in here, 12.87. It means that the distance between focus point and your camera is about 12.87 meter. So you can change it, for example, 12.80 and fix it. And another option that we call depth of field. If I increase it, look at this environment carefully. Look at these environments in here. The borders, as you can see, we have some blurriness on it. The high value of the depth of field is really amateur because we don't have some renders like that and it's not realistic at all. So you must control your depth of field. For example, 16% is not bad. It's really good. And image bar, everything is good in here. Everything is good in this place. And now I only want to render my job. So I press Shift plus F11 on my keyboard on the desktop, change it to the detail mode, and I want to rename this file to the Enscape 3.5 render, and I press save. It depends on your system and your hardware accelerator how much take to create these type of renders in the Enscape and how you can output it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like and subscribe my channel. We try a lot to create these type of tutorials for you. I love you guys. Thanks for your support. Please like and subscribe this video and comment your opinion about the Enscape rendering engine. I hope you'll be fine and good, and goodbye.